What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. This right here, as you all know by now, is the podcast where we dive into the deep, dark, murky waters with a plethora of legendary guests. I am, of course, your host, your bastard of ceremonies, the #1 scumbag, Rex Ruger. That's REXXX. You might also know me as the King of Sleaze, a.k.a. the Hair Metal High Priest, and most importantly, a.k.a. Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. Come on, folks, take a look. Should be pretty obvious, and DNA testing almost where we want it, and it will prove conclusively what we've known all along, that you are looking at the son of glam, the front man for the band, just smoked a few grams. I got a million fans. I'm your ice cream man, Mr. Wop Bop Loo Bop Wop Bam Bam Shazam, hot damn. Feeling good, and of course, looking good. Everybody in the house looking good, including my beautiful audience. You know how I gets it done, kids. Right there. Live it, love it, use it. And you too might be able to look this good. Coming to you as always from the Lavender Lounge of Love, where it all goes down. Believe that. And coming to you, I already said that already. And joined as always by the great Keith Hernandez puppet. Come on, folks. A living legend. Number 17 in your programs, #1 in your hearts, New York Met. Great. I only associate with greats and legends. You guys know this. Of course, this is the No Frills podcast. You don't get no frills, but you get rock star size thrills, and that's looking at the face of the biggest rock star, me. That's right, me. Second greatest frontman to ever do it. And if you are watching, please make sure to like and subscribe to the Pod Scum YouTube channel, and be sure to follow us on Facebook for all your Pod Scum news and or updates. And today we got a great one, a hardcore legend, and he is here now, as a matter of fact. So let's get down to it and chop it up with him on Pod Scum. This is going to be a good one. Yep, Mike COULS, and Mike COULS even has an AKA because he gets to be Mike COULS, a.k.a. Chino. That's what I need. I was telling my audience I need an AKA.
I got mad AKAs, homie. You know
do?
What I'm saying, bro? Yeah,
You do?
I got a little list, bro. You know what I'm saying?
It's probably always good to have a couple for, when you get in sticky spots in your life, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Now, I got to say, Rex XXX.
Yes.
I know it's a long, like a really anticipated thing here, the DNA results. I know everyone's on their tippy toes and on their eggshells, but I just got to tell you, man, I don't need to wait for the results. I ain't even waiting, bro. I can
what an endorsement.
It's clear as day, bro. You know what I'm saying? The handsome face. So. Yeah, the fucking hair on the chest, the cheekbones, the curly locks. You know what I'm saying? The personality, bro.
Wow.
We can tell. I don't need to see that test, bro.
You're the first person in 150 some odd episode who's been this decisive and this, I love the fact that it doesn't have to be proved to you. You've been around long enough where you see it, you know?
The proof's in my vision. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Yeah. Trust your eyes. Right. Trust your eyes.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. I'm glad we got a chance to do this because a lot of people, well, if they watch, they know, but they may or may not know that I had, unfortunately, long story short, I have gone into this in other episodes. I had 6 or 7 episodes that, because of technical problems, that it drove me nuts too, that got fucking erased. And you were one of the first people kind enough to redo it again. Almost all the episodes that I had to redo, everyone's been pretty receptive, understanding that the technical problems happen or whatever, shit happens or whatever. But you were one of the first ones on board. So I thank you for that, man. I appreciate that.
You know, technology is not always all that's cracked up.
No, you're right,
bro. A lot of times it makes it more difficult. You know what I'm saying? Then it makes it easier. You know what I'm saying? I got to tell you, though, I have made another observation that you got a pretty ill mirror game going on over there, bro.
Yeah, I do.
You got an ill mirror game, bro. Yeah. See, my mirrors are so big, they're mounted on the wall because my mirror game's epic, kid. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta have some confidence, and you got to a certain extent. You got to like what you see looking back at you.
Well, there's a lot of self-reflection. It's actually a deep meditation that I have every day. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's probably healthy.
No, it is. You know, and it's you reveal things about the soul. You know what I mean? You can look into your eyes. It's like the seeing thing. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Yeah.
I have deep reflections every day. You know, I look in the mirror and I say, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the baddest motherfucker of them all? You know what I'm saying? Then you look into your soul, and I'll tell you, if you want to share what my revelation was this morning.
Please.
I looked deeply into the mirror, man, and I was like, I don't really have any good sides, man. I was looking. I was like, all my sides are fucking great, kid. You know what I mean? I ain't got no good sides. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That was my reflection of the day, bro. You got to have one every day.
Yeah, you do. And I got to start being better about doing that when I go off to work in the morning, because I work in healthcare. It can be a frustrating field. And sometimes I don't think that I pick myself up enough before I go in there. I need to do that more. A little self-reflection time in the car on the ride to work, whatever, but it's important though.
I give it to you, bro. You definitely got to go into your field with a little bit of positivity. That can definitely be a fucking an esteem knocker. You know what I mean?
I want to start right off the rip, man, because I know that you got a new project that you're working on, and I always love to put some shine on anything that people are doing that they're new and really kickstarted and invigorated about. But first, let me ask you, because you've got such a laundry list of bands that you've been a part of, or as you put it, been a ringer for, or whatever. You've been pretty much a staple on the hardcore scene for a long time. Is there one band that you particularly identify with if someone came up to you and said, hey, what's the band that's meant the most to you up to this point in your life? Is it Cold as Life? I know you're associated with that one a lot, but a Sworn Enemy. Is there one band that you really take it upon yourself to say, that's my band, though? If someone asked me, that's the one where I want to, someone had to summarize your career right now and pigeonhole you into just one of the bands that you were in?
I'm a difficult amalgam.
Yeah.
Probably definitely identify more with the band. See, I've played in bands in every capacity. You know what I mean? I've been bands that I was a member of. I've had bands that was my band. I've had bands that I played for. And I've had bands, like you said, being a ringer, where motherfuckers call you up, hey, can you learn 29 songs? And fucking next week we go, baby. You know what I'm saying? This is the day rate. And so I've played for a lot of bands. I've been lucky enough to play for a lot of bands I grew up listening to as a kid.
Legends.
So. Yeah, it's always easier when you kind of, know the shit or like the camp and shit. But identifying with, probably more the bands that I was in, especially being younger. There's something about when you're younger that this is nothing like it. You know what I'm saying, man? The first girl you was with, second girl you was with is different than the fifth girl you was ever with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right,
but
you're right.
Probably definitely, I grew up playing in Cold as Life, which is the most notorious fucking hardcore band in the history of the city of Detroit, undisputed. And so that's definitely a part of me, man. Sworn Enemy, we had such an incredible ride. We got signed to a major, which I don't know how the fuck that happened, to be honest. And we got to play with a lot of our heroes and do a lot of shit that I would have never guessed that we would have got to do. So that was definitely tremendous. And probably one of my favorite bands I ever played in, man, was Agents of Man from New Jersey, because that was just such a credible, unique, different type of band, and it definitely opened my perspective up, creatively, musically. But we had a lot of fun, and we were a real tight clique, man. And those three bands in particular, I think are pretty special.
And before we go into the new project that you're doing, when you say Cold as Life, had this aura, this legend about them of being like really bad motherfuckers. What was it about them? I mean, what was it that made them such a force?
Oh, touche. You wouldn't go right to the fucking grit, do you? Well, Cold as Life, bro. I mean, the name. There's something about names, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes, the name kind of encapsulates it. And for that one, it definitely does, man. And you're talking a 4 or 5 piece band, depending on the lineup, where, there's 4 to 5 dead members at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's something about when the band would just come on stage and just swell, and that feedback was starting to swell and rise. Even being a little kid, seeing them, to even playing in the band and experiencing it, but it sets off every primordial cell and atom in your fucking body. Like, you can feel all the goose hair stand up, and somehow it just invokes, it just pulls something out of people. Definitely, Cold as Life is definitely very much based in reality. So I think a lot of people relate to it, and it's a deep thing. The people that related to it, it's a very deep experience. But like when a sadhu, when a holy man comes wherever, they say he brings the holy down wherever he goes. wherever Cold as Life goes, like if we played on the Friday the 13th or a full moon, like you knew something crazy was gonna happen. And it's almost like wherever the fuck we went, it was like Friday the 13th and a full fucking moon.
Just leaving town and things are on fire and shambles. Buildings are have fallen to the ground.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of stories. I don't really like to dive deep into the very brutal ones because there's a lot.
Right.
But there's some funnier ones and shit that I'll tell from time to time again when I get in the right mood. But
it has been a band though that's been fraught with a lot of turmoil and stuff. I mean, Jeffrey, the lead singer, has had his battles with the law and stuff, and thankfully he's come out the other end of it, and seems like he's doing very well in life.
Yeah, doing fantastic, man.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Unfortunately, we didn't talk for like, I don't know, 22, 23 years, bro.
Yeah.
And we connected this year, and we've had a couple of nice times of getting together, and each time gets better and better, man. And just real happy because, because Jeff is someone, I mean, look, when I joined the group, bro, I was 16. I don't think I had a fucking driver's license for a year. Yeah. I was a little fucking kid. And, I looked up to people, but probably especially Jeff, man. He was probably the more charismatic figure. He's definitely one of the lead authors of the music and the lyrics post Ron being killed. The original singer Cold as Life was murdered, and he was kind of the epitome of the second wave of punk rock in Detroit and everything that's fucking amazing. I mean, I've heard a lot of nice testimonies. I interviewed one time. We tried to do a doc about the group because it's shrouded in so much mystery. Yeah, and I interviewed a legendary club owner here who basically described himself on camera. He said, "Some people say I'm a pimp, some people say I'm a drug dealer, some people say I'm a gangster," and he said they're all correct. and the way he described Ron Beauty was, he said you either love Ron Beauty, you either love him or you fucking hate him. You fucking hate him. He goes, for me, he goes, I loved Ron Beauty, I loved him, and I fucking hate him. And when he was talking about him, he got sentimental and he teared up. It was a special moment interviewing him. But you'll hear a lot of stories. I've heard this one multiple times where someone would tell you like, "Yo, I was a kid. I went to Blondie's was like our CBGB's in Detroit,
right?"
And they were like, it was in a fucking bad neighborhood, especially back then. You know what I mean? I remember starting to play. I was 14 when I started playing there. It was a fucking pretty nasty side of town, And there's a lot of stories someone will tell you like, "Yo, I was about to get jumped or some Nazis surrounded me or whatever." Some, got caught with the wrong crowd. And Ron walked up and said, "Yo, you fucking my little brother?" And everyone said, No, we didn't know it was your brother, B or what. And they would scatter, they'll beat it. And I said, "Yo, what's up, man? I'm Ron. I play in Cold Life. Come check out my band." And there's a lot of stories about, like that. Like, "Yo, he's my boy. He had my back. He protected me, helped me out." And then you'll hear a lot of stories about him, like, "That fucking guy beat up my dad and my sister and my brother and my aunt and my uncle." And what I mean? Like, you'll hear an equal amount of both. You know what I mean?
I'm interested though. Is this documentary going to see the light of day, or has this project been aborted?
It's been shelved. We shot a lot of footage and did a lot of interviews, a lot of epic interviews, man. And I put a lot of time into it, but it just never got funded at the time. So it just kind of got shelved, you know what I mean? Which is unfortunate.
And for people that don't know the history of Cold as Life, and as you're touching on a lot of points here, a legendary, Detroit, which for people that don't know, I mean, I think New York hardcore, all these different areas, man, like get labeled for a scene or whatever. But Detroit is a hard fucking city, though. It's fucking hard out there.
Goddamn right.
Yeah,
and you know what? If you really think about it, Detroit it's a Renaissance city. You know what I mean? It's been the cusp of so much, even just musical. If you just want to get into one, if you want to get into one thing, Motown has influenced every fucking thing.
Yeah, everything.
Everybody. You know what I'm saying, bro? Everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the advent of like pre-punk fucking extreme rock and like the MC5, Iggy and the Stooges, you know what I mean? Alice Cooper, fucking shock rock, and you got, I mean, there's so much. Even look, Negative Approach, bro. That's probably, they influenced mad New York groups.
Yeah,
and I think John Brennan was probably one of the first dudes that, if not the first, that really bitched that hard, yelled that extreme into a mic.
Yeah,
and it's influenced a lot of people around, man. It's definitely one of my favorite groups. But there's so much in hip hop and fucking jazz, but Detroit is a Renaissance city, bro. And it's actually a contemplation I had. Like, what is it about this place? You know what I mean? That I said, is it something in the air? Maybe it's like the toxic shit, like Toxic Avenger. You know what I'm saying? From all the industry that motherfuckers mutate into some fucking superhero shit.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's, the largest black city and it's a cultural connect between black and white and everything in between, Or maybe being a working class city, something where the unions and the working class, maybe everyone's really in touch with the pulse of the people, because you go out to the coast and that's where it's all at or whatever. But I mean, sometimes if you live in in a bubble, man, on whatever coast, or you live in however in Beverly Hills or fucking you know what I'm saying, whatever swanky place, you ain't in touch with the pulse of how actually people live and breathe and see and feel. And I think in Detroit, it's like it's the epitome, it's the emotional barometer.
I agree. I've had guys on here from the New York hardcore scene, and I've asked them that exact same question. And we usually do attribute it to just that blue collar, workman-like, the grittiness of New York City, like why all those bands were able to, come from that area around that time. And of course, when a lot of the great 80s hardcore bands started, back in the 80s, New York was a very different place, very dangerous, a lot like you're describing Detroit,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you hear everyone talk about the Lower East Side, and it definitely was that. But sometimes, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I get a kick when I hear motherfuckers like, all right, if you're singing an old song from back then, I get it. But if you're writing a song now talking about the Lower East Side, motherfucker, you can't even afford rent. There's a Starbucks in every corner. CB's is like a fucking boutique. You know what I'm saying, bro? There ain't nothing fucking mean or ill. I mean, I'll be honest, even when I was out there for a quarter of my life. And even when all right, there's still be spots in Brooklyn, or I live in Jersey most of the time, around Newark, Irvington, and there's part of the Bronx. There's definitely hard name, but like the city, bro, that shit's like Disneyland now.
It is.
Like when I moved over there, bro, it was like there was nothing menacing about being in the city. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up though, because I may have asked you this the last time we talked, and I've posed this question to a lot of specifically the hardcore guys that I've had on here. But do you think, since we're talking about a different time and a different age, do you think currently in the hardcore scene that whole ethos and that whole mentality still exists with any bands at all today? Because it definitely seems like, obviously there's still hardcore music being made. But, and I don't want to impugn what these kids are doing out there, regardless of whether they're from suburbia or if they're from good neighborhoods or whatever. That shouldn't come into play. But just that overall mentality of the hardcore that I'm thinking of, does that still exist today?
Well, that's a multi-layered question, touche. First of all, I give props to all the young kids. I think it's definitely a young man's sport. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
And I see a lot of young bands coming up, and a lot of like a whole resurgence, and older bands kind of getting their just desserts. And I think a lot of the kids now, they're really having fun, and I dig that. Like, if you ain't having fun, what are you doing? Money aside, this and that aside, prestige. If you ain't having fun, what the fuck are you doing? So I dig that. But at the same time, it's fucking mad different. Like when I was a kid and you went to a show, that shit was terrifying.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying, bro? And that was all the fun of it. That was the excitement in it. And I just don't feel like that anytime if I happen to pop my head up. Like, actually, I'm going to the show tonight. If I pop my head out the door and I go to the show, motherfucker, I set a hammock up in the middle of the dance floor. I take a fucking nap. I just don't feel that the menace. But if you want to talk about ethos and ethics, man, I mean, all right, there's pros and cons. I mean, I definitely think there's a big merit to the ethics of like that whole Black Flag, do it yourself, get in the van, make things happen, DIY. There's a lot of, obviously back then when no one was making nothing happen for you, but even now with all the tools, no one's making nothing happen for you. In fact, people want to see you roll and be successful and see that you have the tenacity to withstand whatever. And then they want to come, oh, we've been believing in you since the beginning, that, all that bullshit. But, that's definitely a big ethics that, I guess, that's still practiced today. It's a necessity if you want to do it. And I always liked, which still exists today, one thing I always loved was the adamant, like, fuck racism, fuck racist motherfuckers. The Nazis got beat out of the scene, and now motherfuckers can talk all that Nazi because they don't, their feelings are hurt. But back in the day, there was real Nazis, there was real Nazi gangs, and they really got beat the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? And if it wasn't for shit like that, like how it was back then, half these kids, but most of these kids that like this shit now, they wouldn't have the opportunity or the luxury to like it now the way it was, because they wouldn't have been fucking a part of it. You know what I'm saying? So I always loved that. I remember shit, Cold as Life playing the show. I think the last time me and Jeff were in Europe together, and this is weird for Europe. This would be more shit that happens here, especially in Germany, because in Germany it's super illegal and they're super sensitive about it, and for rightfully so. And we were playing with the Rikers, who back then in the 90s, they were the fucking shit in Europe, And the singer, kid, he's black, man. We love him, man. And we played this big show in Leipzig, and there was, I don't know, maybe like 1,500 people. It was an ill show. And we watched our friends play before us, and there was like 6 boneheads, like Sig Heiling and shit in the front. We were like, the fuck? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And what I love about Cold as Life and this whole thing, like, we came on the stage and the first thing Jeff said was, "Yo, we're Cold as Life from Detroit. And if I see any of you motherfuckers saying highland at me, I'm gonna kick you right in your motherfucking face." And you seen 6 dudes turn around and bounce. And 1,500 people had fun. You know what I'm saying? So that shit I always dig. But there's pros and cons. I think ethics are practiced by the individual more than like by the group, because the more people that you have, then there's going to be weak links. The more people, the more weaker the links. And they say a chain is only as strong as the fucking weakest link. You know what I'm saying, man? And sometimes I think it can be a problem to become a parody of yourself. Like, let's say in the example of like Nazis, so you beat the Nazis out, you beat out the bullies. I always love that about hardcore too, beating down the bullies. I love that. That's just that's how I grew up. You know what I'm saying? We got picked on in the white neighborhood, and my white friends, my black friends, the black neighborhood. I'm Vietnamese. I'm my friend Mexican. We brown. We get fucked with on both sides of the fucking tracks, but you know what I mean. So I always like that, beating the bullies out. But then once you kind of take that fucking alpha male position, you become the fucking bully. You know what I mean? Do you become a parody yourself? Do you start cannibalizing the scene that you're trying to, cultivate and flourish? You know what I mean? And, what do the psychologists say? They say that when you're in adolescence, which is kind of how we probably all started this, you run in a tribe, you run in a pack. And believe me, I ran with a few packs when I was younger. But then as you grow up, and when you transcend into adulthood, you're supposed to transcend the tribe and become an individual. Right. You know what I'm saying? That. And I think that the ethics really have to be practiced by the individual, because sometimes, punk rock's supposed to be about, free thinking and independent living. Right. And I think that after a point when you start getting too much of this group think, and we can see it today with the mental cults going on and shit, the propaganda cults. You get into that group thinking, that's the total opposite of what the shit's supposed to be about. Right. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, he still hangs out with my ex-girlfriend, or something. Right. Dividing lines. It becomes like fucking like gayer than fucking high school was. You know what I'm saying? So I think ethics has to be practiced by the individual. And I definitely see that, hey man, my hat's off to the youth and the younger cats. Sure. Bro. And like I said, the young man's game, man, and it's great to see people creating, thriving, moving and doing and grooving it like a sex machine. You know what I mean?
And I'm interested if you could touch on your upbringing a little bit, because I remember when I was young, I had a very dear friend of mine in his family was from Laos, Laotian folks, extremely great family, but strict. Now, you mentioned that, the Vietnamese upbringing. I know a lot of those parents and those families, man, might worry about someone wanting to go into the arts and entertainment field. It's very speculative, and like how does Mike COULS not end up a doctor or I'm sure were your folks supportive of the musical journey?
Well, very good. And yeah, your Laotian peoples, you know what I mean? They just right on the other side of the jungle from my peoples. Right. Same people. So my mother was 100% Vietnamese, and my mother was on the second to last commercial flight out of Vietnam right before Saigon fell. My father was white-bodied. He was a GI. He was in Special Forces. He actually went back to bring my mother back. And my motherfuckers thought he was crazy, and he fucking was. But he got my mom out of it the last second. You know what I'm saying? They unfortunately got divorced when I was very young, so I don't have a memory of them being together. Both my parents were tremendous, loving, supportive. God, I can't praise my parents enough. Now, my mother definitely had expectations like that for me, and my father definitely provided expectations like that for me.
Yeah.
I got into music when I was 11. I don't know why I started playing music, taking lessons. My father was supportive of getting me instrument lessons. When I was 12, I started going to shows. 13, I started playing shows. 14, I was playing in nightclubs. When I was 15, my father was assassinated at work.
Wow.
And it's a part of the Detroit history over here. And to my betterment and detriment, mostly to my detriment, unfortunately, when my father passed away, no one could tell me what to do. You know what I'm saying? And my poor mother, I love her so much, man.
Yeah.
My poor mom. And my only solace for uncontrollable rage, my only discipline, my only fucking passion, my only identity was in playing music. And I put every bit of fury and everything into doing that. And that's all. Nothing was more important to me than doing that. And that's probably why that's what I did for most of my life. So, you know, if my father would have lived, that motherfucker could kick my ass. I'm sure he would have kicked in a different direction. Although he was very supportive of my music. You know, he produced my first demo of my first band, Placenta. And we put it out. We sold so many of them at the store, we paid him back. You know, he was very, very supportive, man. And but at the same time, I'm sure my life would have been quite different had it not turned out that way. You know what I mean?
And what did hardcore? So was there a particular album or a song or an artist? What was it that specifically hooked you into hardcore? Do you remember like who it was? Was it Cold as Life?
Well, I mean, first I was a metalhead first and foremost.
Yeah.
Let's be real. I was a metalhead. You know what I'm saying? And the first show I ever went to was at this fucking hard ass club called Todd's. It was either called the Marquee or Todd's. It changed names a couple times. But I saw it was the New Titans on the Block tour, '91. It was Sepultura. The Rise just came out. Napalm Death. I don't know if it was like Harmony Corruption or Death by Manipulation. It was one of them records. Sacred Reich. It wasn't. I don't. Independent didn't come out, so I think they're still on Surf Nicaragua. And Sick of It All open. Well, actually, I'm going to when we get off. I'm going to be hanging.
I'm rocking them today. I'm rocking them today. Yeah.
I'll see Craig and Armand when I get out of here. But,
well, good. Because a side note, and I just interviewed Lou the other day, and I also a couple weeks ago interviewed Danny from Sick of It All, who obviously sworn enemy also. So there's that big.
Oh yeah.
But they both have told me that they got to get me hooked up with Craig because he would love to come on here and talk. If I don't have musicians on here, obviously, as you know, it's boxing. You know what I mean? So, and Craig is apparently a huge boxing guy.
He's both. I
got to get him on here. I got to get him on. I mean, Lou told me he had to make it happen, but
listen, I'll make it happen today.
Please, yes.
It's done. I'll make it happen today. All right. Yeah. When I would travel with Craig, we would work the focus pads. You know what I mean? I'd fucking work him out. He worked me out a little bit.
That.
And that's my guy right there. Best guy in the world. He's got a great story. He's got a tremendous fucking resume.
Yeah.
Tremendous resume. You know what I'm saying? But
when I talked to Lou, he touched on it a little bit, but he said he's got a boxing background. He's worked as a trainer. He's done like a lot of ancillary stuff. So I mean, like, and he just loves the game,
Yeah, when he wasn't touring, that's what he did. You know
what
I'm saying? But to go back to your question, man, I think at first I was a metalhead, and then I got into punk rock because I dug the raw. You can't deny the raw energy of punk rock. And then ultimately, like hardcore for me growing up in the '90s, there's kind of more of that crossover, that fusion. The bands that took that fucking that extreme hardcore punk and took that fucking thrash metal and put them together. To me, the four standouts would be Agnostic Front, the CRO-MAGS from the East Coast, and would be who I got to play for both. And would be Suicidal Tendencies and DRI from the West Coast, who I got to tour with both. You know what I mean? And so it was kind of like fusing everything that I thought. But then about hardcore, like the lyrics were more like street level, it was more like reality, it was more like relatable than maybe like Dungeons and Dragons shit or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I always, to me, coming from Motown and shit, bro, everything's about the groove and playing bass and being a bass player. I just groove. Like, you can't bob your head if you can't move and do it. You know what I mean, man? I don't know. If it ain't, then it ain't got me. You know what I'm saying? So hardcore definitely at some point kind of adopted, you know, if I had to put it on any route, I'd say it's Mackie, you know, from the CRO-MAGS, and you know, he played the Bad Brains on the record and a bunch of different groups. I think Mackie kind of brought that R&B style, you know, that maybe like Danny Schuler from Biohazard and Oki from Leeway really.
Where the music swung a little bit. It swung a little.
Yeah, they really kind of put that swing in there and took it to another level. And then I think even like new metal dudes bit that shit kind of thing or whatever, and then made it corny and then made a lot more money. But you know, there's a lot of things I think that are related to. And then for Cold as Life, you know, there's some weird shit with the dates of my father's assassination and with Ron's. I mean, they were both, first of all, they were both people that you could not fight them. You know, if you were a human being, you couldn't fight them then. You had to be a superhero or I don't know, you know what I'm saying? They were both shot and killed by someone that they used to be friends with who was afraid of them. Maybe different politics, but essentially that's it. And so my dad was elected to the Union 1993, September the 15th, 1993. My father was elected onto the bargaining committee. That was the day Ron was murdered. 1 year from that day my father was elected, that was my father's funeral. So my father was killed 5 days short of being the year anniversary of Ron's murder.
Wow, dirty business. Dirty business.
Yeah. So that whole story, I related a lot to as a kid, and I admired Cold as Life because after he passed away, they was like, well, there's no replacing him, so we all gotta sing. So you gonna sing, I'm gonna sing, and I really respect that from Jeff and Jay Way and Jay Clark, you know what I mean? And really, me playing with them was a sum of 3 murders. There was a singer here, Steve Crash. He was a beloved frontman of the band, the Feisty Cadavers. They opened up for Motorhead at this club. Everyone knows this club, Harpo's, another nasty ass Detroit club. But they opened up, and I guess apparently when they were leaving, a kid tried to carjack a man, and he wasn't doing that, and he tried to pull off, and the kid fucking shot him, and he passed away. So Cold as Life kind of had one of the first implosions. Well, I guess second being the one after Ron passed away. So band kind of started to implode. And when I joined the band, that's when everything kind of came back together. And my first show with them was the Steve Crash benefit show. So my playing in that band, just me coming into the band at 16, was the sum of 3 murders.
And now, forgive me for not knowing this, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but Ron, the singer that we're speaking about, when he's murdered, am I to believe? And you know, I've got my bullet points in my notes here, but this guy that murdered him was never caught.
He was arrested. He was bailed out. He fled bail, and he's still at large.
Wow.
I would assume he has a different identity.
Sure.
In another country. Yeah. And you know, there's ways to do that, especially back then. It was probably easier than it is now.
Yeah.
But no one escapes Yamaraj. You know, no one escapes karma. For every action, there's a reaction. That's a scientific law. And you know what I mean? We may think we get away with one thing here or there, but and the truth is all those things will manifest. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not Yamaraj. I'm not the dealer of justice.
Right.
But and whatever you do comes back to you.
Fair enough. I agree with you on that. Yeah, for sure. And I don't know that I would want to be carrying that baggage around anyway. What kind of a life does that really, you know, looking over your shoulder for the rest of your life? I mean, it's got to be a lousy way to live. So in a way, that guy's probably created some of his own hell, which he richly deserves, obviously.
Make your bed and lay in it.
Yeah, you sure do. You sure do. So when's the first time you pick up a bass? Because that's very interesting, because I love the bass guitar, and I think it's a criminally underrated instrument in bands, because we were talking about that whole swinging thing. You know, obviously that low end holding it down is so pivotal, but a lot of times guys don't get into that because they want to be the lead singer, or it's more glamorous to be the shredding guitar guy. How did you arrive at the bass? Was it a choice? Was it by default?
Let's be for real. There's nothing more glorious than the bass.
I love it. I can't agree with you more.
the bass shakes the place.
It does.
Okay,
it does.
The bass is the motion in the whole motherfucking ocean. And that's
it does. But you know what I mean, though. Sometimes it's not looked at so glamorous by kids when they're starting to play instruments, though. You know, everybody wants to be Eddie Van Halen, or they want to be the lead guy. You know, they want to be the singer.
It depends who's playing it. Like when I see a guitar player and they end up playing bass for whatever reason, I'm like, oh shit, motherfucker, congrats. I said, what do you mean? Or you got promoted.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, the bass, you tie in a lot of things, man. You're obviously you're driving the rhythm, but you're tying in the melodies, you're tying in the harmonies.
Yeah.
And even when I started playing in Agents of Man, who had a real singer, a fucking real dope singer.
Yeah.
It's a trifecta because you're actually anchoring in the vocal notes. There was times I would write a line that, man, it would be the perfect thing between the rhythm and the fucking melody, and I thought it was so dope. But yo, if it threw off what the singer wanted to do, that's the whole cherry on the top.
Yeah.
If it threw off what George wanted to do, man, I had to throw it right out and just start again because it had to anchor him. There's a lot of power in that. So it's actually a part of the center. If you want to take it back to Detroit and Motown, there's no one greater and more glorious than James Jamerson.
The best.
All right, with one motherfucking finger, he did what you can't do with fucking 29 fingers.
Yeah.
And he would tie in the melody and the vocal line and the riff so masterfully, like that's what made all them songs fucking great.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, man? People still can't figure out that he's the one that made all that shit great. We had to put it on like one who was a superstar. Yeah, there's the singers, but they got all kind of different singers. That motherfucker was the magic. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Yeah. And so you knew that even back then. I'm gonna pick up a bass.
All right, I digress. No, I started playing guitar. I started playing guitar at first, right?
Yeah.
And I was playing with a friend of mine. He was gonna play bass, and he ended up moving. We were little kid on some little kid shit. You know what I mean? And when he moved away, you know, when I was like 11, probably one of my favorite bands. I loved like the big four thrash bands. You know, Slayer, Metallica.
Yeah.
And I loved Metallica, man. And I really loved Jason Newsted.
Yeah.
He would be the headbanger. He would be, a lot of the stage presence. And I just thought, that's dope. Yeah, I'll pick up the bass. And I'm kind of glad I did because it got me a lot of work my whole life, to be honest with you. And I've always been really aware of the drums and how the rhythm, that's like the first thing I hear when I hear any music is how the rhythm kicking it. You know what I'm saying? So, but then it's funny, man, because I saw your Jason Bittner interview because that's my dude. I came over him. I love him too, man. We came up, when we used to have a teenager and Bob Riley. Shit, I think it helped Bob Riley move into the house before the house he's in now and shit. Yeah. But he was saying when we did Odds Fest together, I was in Sworn Enemy, he was in Shadows Fall. Like I've never been starstruck in nobody. You know what I mean? I played with mad heroes of mine. We got to meet. I got to meet Dimebag and Vinny. We stayed in Vinny's house for the night, and Dimebag. They were so cool. I wish I was a little bit more starstruck when I hung out with them. They were cool as fuck, and everything you think how they should be, they were. But on Ozfest, one day I wanted to go eat fucking at the Chow Hall, and I had to eat at a certain time before I play. I can't eat 2 or 3 hours before I play because I got to have a light stomach. It can't interfere with my adrenaline dump. I have to be light so that I can catch air and shit. And so I wanted to go eat. No one wanted to go eat. And I went and I sat down and I found a table all by myself. I'm like, all right, bet. You know what I mean? Because, whoever Kill Switch or Savage Fall, they were, I had none of my peoples with me. So I went outside, I was eating. And who comes to sit down across from me? Jason Newsted and his wife.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, I just wanted to be like, yo, what up? I'm like, I play bass, whatever, big influence of mine. He played for Ozzy that year, and Voivod. And I just was like, man, I couldn't say nothing. Like, can't have my fucking tongue. And then later, my guitar player, Lorenzo, we could do a podcast series of Lorenzo. He's kind of like the Andrew Dice Clay of hardcore, he had an incident with Jason Newsted. I heard Brian Fair tell it recently on the podcast. And then I just felt like this motherfucker must have thought like I was a dick, like, oh, fuck this dude. But really, I wanted to be like, yo, what up? You know what I mean? But what happened between them, I'll just tell it real quick because it was funny. I guess, Lorenzo, man, he was fucking catcalling or whatever fucking girls were walking by. And apparently he fucking was trying to kick it to whoever. And, it turned out to be Jason Newsted's wife. He didn't know that shit. He just saw a girl, he didn't fucking kick it. You know what I mean? That's Lorenzo.
Yeah.
And so fucking, your boy come up to him and, yo, you Lorenzo, you know, you say disrespectful shit to my wife. And yo, Lorenzo, check this motherfucker. Lorenzo's like, I don't know. Who's your wife? I say a lot of things to a lot of girls. You know, and they said, well, do you know who I am? Blah, blah, blah. Lorenzo was like, yeah, motherfucker, I know who you are. I got injustice for all. He told him like that. I got injustice for all. I know who you are, bro. And he tried to sit down and like tell Lorenzo, like, oh, we a heavy metal family, this and that. Lorenzo's like, he's like, motherfucker, you ain't come watch my band one day. You know who come watch every day? David Draymond from Disturbed. That dude was cool. I thought maybe just seeing his persona, like he'd be like cocky or arrogant. That was the coolest, realest, intelligent dude. He come watch every day, every band.
Yeah, that's cool.
Set. And Lorenzo called out, you ain't watched my band once, kid, you know. And like a day or two later, he come by with his assistant. He watches like 5 minutes every band one time, and then you never see him around again. But man, Lorenzo would get drunk when they had the beef before they settled in. He would drive his little fucking bicycle around the fucking Jason Newsted tour bus of the 40, bum out, you know, drive around.
Yeah,
fucking bum out, you know. And there's a couple other things that happened that were funny. He stole his golf cart one night drunk and was crashing the fence. And Big Val was the head of security. He told us, you know, take Lorenzo to bed. Take Lorenzo to bed, you know. But we had a lot of good times. But my point with the whole thing was like, yeah, Jason Newsted was one of my, you know, dudes I looked up to or influenced when I was like a little fucking kid, 10, 11 years old. And here I am, cast out my tongue, and then he probably just thought like we were just all like, fuck this dude, he's a dick or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But that was not my stuff.
Well, I'm glad you said that, man, because I was very worried as a huge Metallica fan myself. I was very, very worried when Jason Newsted left, because I thought for a while there, he was really the guy keeping the grit and the tenacity in that band when some of the rest of them were going a little soft, you know? I mean, it seemed like Newsted was the guy that still was up there fucking raging. You know what I mean? I was a little worried that, oh, fuck, man, they're going a little soft now. And then if Newsted's going to leave, oh, my God. I mean, you know, they're going to end up the fucking Backstreet Boys. I mean, who's going to be in there to keep the integrity? You know, I mean.
Well, you saw some of the people they were trying out, bro. It could have been like that. But obviously, they made the right choice. Dude. Yeah. They chose the right dude.
Beast.
For the fucking hell yeah, they did.
Yeah. And as you mentioned earlier, he's got the suicidal tendencies pedigree. You know, I mean, he's certainly a guy that can put down some bass for some hard music.
Absolutely. You know what's funny about him is the first time I got to tour Suicidal, and Mike Muir's the best dude, and he don't get fucked up at all. And he remembers everything.
A legend. A legend.
Greatest dude.
A legend. He's on my bucket list. Yeah, you know, I thought about the musicians thing, and I got 4 or 5 that roll around in my head all the time. Some of them for a small podcast like this could be out of reach. You know what I mean? Like you say, you could put me in touch with a Craig from Sicko Doll. That's a little different than trying to get a hold of, let's say, James Hetfield and have him on my podcast. But I've always thought Mike Muir could be attainable and an interesting guy that I would love to have on. He just seems like a guy that really gets it. You know what I mean? Like, and he seems like he has for a long time. I think about, and to touch on what you said, I think a lot of that has to do with living his life with a clear mind. You know what I mean? He really seems like he's a guy that's really got his shit in order.
Yeah, he's a great dude. Great dude. I remember thinking, like, going on the tour, I was like, oh, man, they ain't got Robert Trujillo playing bass. You know, they ain't going to, you know, whatever. You know, they had playing bass. I met my man. I was 23. I think he was like 19, bro. My man, Stevie.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this Stevie's dope and whatever, blah, blah, blah. That motherfucker, and he's a rock, you know, Thundercat shit, that shit. That motherfucker, now they call him Thundercat. You know what Thundercat is?
Yeah.
He's fucking big time. Stevie, back then, Stevie played with everybody. He played with Erykah Badu, Jessica Simpson, and fucking this one and that one. He played with Suicidal. His brother Ronald was dope. His brother Ronald played for fucking like George Duke and, you know, Legend and shit. And what's funny is they actually their dad was a Motown drummer. So they're from Inkster. They're from like over this way. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, they moved out to LA or whatever. They're musicians in their jeans or whatever. But I remember my little brother telling me about whatever. And I was like, oh shit, that's Stevie. The motherfucker wrote for Kendrick Lamar record.
Yeah.
With fucking Mac Miller. He playing on that Silk Sonic shit. He just on tour with Red Hot Chili Peppers. He's a whole fuking like industry.
Got a nice resume. Yeah. Build himself a nice resume.
Just meeting Stevie back then when we were kids or whatever, then he was like, man, thunder thumbs, bro. He was tremendous. And it was like, all right, bet Mike know who to enlist because, you know, I want to see Robert Trujillo, but I'm not missing him, dude. You know what I mean?
Well, on your own resume, speaking of resumes, you know, you've been tapped, you know, we talk about Sworn Enemy, we talk about Cold as Life or whatever, but you've been tapped for, you know, by the CRO-MAGS to, you know, to do fill-in spots for Terror, the great Agnostic Front. So, on a personal level, when you get tapped, hey, we need, as you put it when we talked before through our text messages, when they need a ringer, when they need a guy to come out and substitute and play with them, are you at all ever nervous because of the reputation of who these guys are? Like, oh, fuck, I'm going to go play for, Agnostic Front in the hardcore world. It's like the fucking Beatles of hardcore, or the CRO-MAGS, or a lot of those bands are like, they're up on that Mount Rushmore of fucking hardcore. Do you ever get like nervous? Like, fuck, this is this is a big assignment to step into.
Well, it's kind of a small fucking pond. It's a small world, and like we all friends and we all know each other already previously to me playing and getting in any of those shoes. Helps. Obviously, some bigger shoes to fill. And obviously, it's easier when it's, hey, you got to learn 25 fucking songs. And fucking you've been listening to them 25 songs your whole life. It's not really that hard to fucking sit there and learn them. You know what I'm saying? And it'd be my joyful duty to sit there and fucking learn them. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't say more nervousness, but I would definitely say more, an honor and a compliment. And and I've had a lot of great, I have a lot of great experiences playing with bands that I grew up loving, and getting to play some of them classic fucking songs and shit. Yeah. And, just going out and doing that energy exchange. And some of my favorite comments, I actually found a photo dump of when I filled in for A after. I'd never had anything from that. It was just, I got the call like, hey, it's a 3-week run. Can you do it? It's fucking, probably 2 weeks. I think I probably just, my first question is, what are you tuned to now, and what's the songs you're gonna play? And I don't want to. I'm not learning 20 albums. I want to learn the songs that I got to do.
Right.
And then in the case of Agnostic Front, maybe in the early shit it was in E, and the later shit's in D, but now you're playing everything in D, and so you just figure all that out and learn the songs, and then probably had one rehearsal, maybe had 2 rehearsals. And that was it. And it was just, let's go. We're doing it. And one of my top 10 favorite compliments was I'm admissible to get into Canada, which is kind of retarded because I've been there. I must have played there 50 fucking times. You know what I'm saying? And there became a point when I became inadmissible because they got a bunch of fucking Nazis running the border, and I told the booking agent, but she didn't take it that serious because, I guess I was a fill-in and I wasn't in the band to do the paperwork the correct way. They have to issue me a TRP so I can become admissible to fucking come to the country. And she didn't do that, and they didn't do the paperwork right. So I got turned away from the fucking border. I had to miss 3 shows. You know what I'm saying? So they had the opening band, some of their wit, they kind of scrambled, learned a couple songs. I don't think they could do a full set, but they got, they're the troopers are going to get through and do it.
Right.
I fucking, I ended up, I left from where I was. I met them. The next city I had to meet them was Boston. So I chilled with some of my homies for a day or two out there. We had a good time, got to relax. And then they came back in the first show. We started playing, everything's going good. And Roger just looks over at me and my shit, and he just beelines it from my amp. Like, what's he doing? He's looking at my amp real quick, and he just turns the volume and fucking crank the volume so fucking loud.
Nice.
And believe me, I was loud enough. You know what I mean? Most of the time, even people that love me, motherfucker, turn down. You know what I'm saying? But Roger just cranked my shit, and that just put a big smile on my face.
Roger's a bass head. We just found out. We got an exclusive right here. Shit. Roger's a bass head. Yeah,
he is.
He loves his band, and I guess that's why I'm probably asking that, because even now at 50 years old, I went and saw them last year, and I'm still awestruck. Seeing Vinny Stigma and Roger up there. They're legends to me. It's and plus Roger's been through a lot with his health. So to see him up there and see what they do on a nightly basis and how much better they do it than a lot of bands out there half their age.
Roger's been through a lot. Period. You know what I mean? But that heart and that authenticity is something that, you can't, that's not a chop you're going to hone. That's just, you got it or you don't. And, being behind a lot of different camps and playing for a lot of different groups, you kind of see who's about what they talk about, what they preach, and who's kind of a fucking bum out. And, the Agnostic Front's the realest of the real.
Yeah.
They're the OGs for a reason.
Yeah.
And I have nothing but respect for those guys.
Yeah. Now let's talk about this project that you've got going now, and I probably had the name written down here somewhere, but I forgot. But what is the project you're doing right now?
The project I'm doing right now, so I'm recording. So last night I was in the studio almost fucking night long, and the producer Don Legend this motherfucker tours for a living, so it's kind of in and out of his tour schedule. You know, he does sound for Morbid Angel, he does sound for, I can't remember this power metal band he's doing, or he does that Tiger Cub fucking rock. He's always doing sound for, so
busy guy.
But yeah, the recording schedule is kind of in and out of his fucking availability, and it's kind of nice to do in little sections. But for me, it's my best body of work that I've ever done. And it's different. It's definitely not hardcore. You know what I'm saying? If I had to call it anything, I'm going to say I would call it mo metal death rock.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And it has a little bit of some of those influences, you know, post-hardcore influences type of thing. The weirdest thing is I'm playing bass, but I'm also singing because I wanted to be able to write the lyrics and express this vibe that I'm having now. So my mother died, and it was probably one of the worst things that I've ever been through. You know what I'm saying? It's probably one of the worst things that ever happened to me. And I was so fucked up from it. And some people try to take advantage of the situation. Shame. And I don't even know how I felt for a year or two. I don't know what kind of music I like, but it fucked me up so bad. I started to grow again as a human, and not being able to just turn everything right into music. I had this wonderful epiphany and experience as a human being and becoming like a human. You know what I'm saying? Catching up on missing years that I had. And when I came out the other end, I'm more creative and I'm happier than I think I've ever been in my life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So this became this fucking project, and the name of the project is Supreme Mystic.
Supreme Mystic, okay.
Supreme Mystic, because, you know, everybody, like, if you're intelligent, man, if you're a seeker, if you're a transcendentalist, if you're a yogi, if you're a bhakta, if you're an occultist, I think everyone's kind of looking for what's behind the veil.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, what is the ultimate truth? What's the absolute truth? And, you know, in mysticism, I mean, you know, there's things we can't see, and people can be like, oh, you know, you can't see that, that's not real. But motherfucker, there's plenty of shit you can't see that is real. You know
no doubt.
Like your Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Everyone is counting on Wi-Fi is real. We talking on this shit, or a radio signal. And in fact, the just the spectrum of light that human beings see is just a tiny fraction. We don't even see the majority of the spectrum.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And in connecting, in the process of connecting, you're trying to become basically a receiver for signals that are being transmitted that are real. And you know they're real when you get them. You know what I'm saying? So Supreme Mystic is kind of I'm the primary writer, but I'm definitely would never consider myself like a solo artist. You know what I'm saying? So I had to list the baddest motherfuckers of the baddest motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Give the hardest hitting fucking drummer, the shred master flex motherfucking guitar player. You know what I'm saying, man? And we can play with the heaviest bands. My return to the stage and the debut show is going to be announced next couple of weeks.
Nice.
And the record, it's, you know, the absorption rate's different for a new group to put out a record, you know. So like I'm saying, like, we can play with the heavy thrash bands, and we can play with the stoner rock groups, and we can play with like the grunge and rock groups, and it's all good. We're gonna hold our own. We're gonna be beautiful. You know what I'm saying?
It affords you the nice luxury of being able to get on a lot of different types of bills then if you're going on the road with this.
Well, yeah, that too, but it's just how I'm feeling. You know what I'm saying? I you know, hardcore can be a little bit of a box, and I've been there, I've done it, like you said, and I played for Cold as Life and Sworn Enemy. I played for Marauder and Scarhead and CRO-MAGS. I filled in for Madball. I filled in for AGNOSTIC FRONT. I filled in for Murphy's Law. I filled in for Bulldog. You know, I filled in for Terror. I've played hardcore, and, you know, again, that raw energy and shit, you know, you can't take away from that. And there's definitely elements of that in what I'm doing, but the scope is definitely not limited to that. It's definitely something beyond that. And it's just the way that I'm feeling.
So people should not expect a proper full-on hardcore album with this project then.
Oh, please do not. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And just know, you know, when your boy's sitting at home, I'm listening to some other shit, bro. You know what I'm saying, man?
Me too.
I'm listening to all kind of smooth and cool ass shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the absorption rate now for a new group and some of my younger friends, some of my young generals, kind of got me hip to thinking like this. You know, we used to just always put out albums and albums. Definitely what is a full-length album is different now. 8 songs is a full record now. You know, you remember them 15, 16 song records.
Sure. Yeah.
It's so oversaturated, you wasting shit. You ain't gonna get paid no more. It's gonna go half a shit's gonna go over their head. Why wasting material? And, you know, just put out the best, put out all killer, no filler. But for a beginner, maybe you want to put out EPs. You know what I mean? So that's something short and sweet, and the absorption rate, you kind of are absorbing it. So I'm gonna do it probably in a series of 1 to 2 EPs, and then that'll project into the full-length record coming out when people really kind of absorb it. And I think it'd be a fun way to kind of have a fun little share and a fun little discovery. You know what I mean?
And the creative process is what for you? Like when you sit down to write this stuff, I know you talked about your mom passing away or whatever, but what was the impetus behind these lyrics? What, how do you get yourself inspired creatively? First of all, what kind of creative are you? Because I talk to a lot of musicians on here, and a lot of them are either of two schools of thought. Either you get these guys who are, they're getting sparks all day long. And, a lot of guys tell me that they're humming riffs into their phone or whatever recording device they're using. They're jotting all day long. But then you got guys on the other side of that who really treat it like a job, where they say, I'm going to go into this room for the next 5 hours and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write.
Whatever works, right?
Right. So what's your process like?
What works for somebody don't work for somebody else.
Right.
For me, if I try to sit here and write, I want to write a heavy riff. I want to write a melodic riff. It ain't gonna fucking happen.
Yeah.
It's almost when I'm completely devoid and attached from any result.
Yeah.
I have no concept of anything, and my feelings get charged up in a certain way, and I just feel whatever, and I just pick it up. And when I least expect it, when I don't expect it, or not doing it, when it happens. And when it fucking happens, for me, everything else has to stop. I don't want to fucking talk to nobody. I don't fucking do nothing.
You're dialed in.
I have to just get this. I have to exercise out of me. I'm fucking crazy, B. I don't know if you can tell from the other side of the mirror. Yeah. Honestly, I'm fucking kind of nutty, bro. So it's like when it happens, it's gonna happen, and I hit the hardest, and I gotta fucking grab it.
Sure.
And then you gotta know when to let go too. You know what I'm saying, bro? So there's that. The impetus for the lyrics is, I feel very fortunate, that I've gotten to play and travel most of my life. I mean, I've gotten to play on 5 continents. I've fucking played in maybe almost 40 countries or something like that. Yeah. But then I kind of think about like, well, what was I saying? Or what was the point? What was the message behind the shit? And definitely, I've had a lot of people come, hey man, you really helped me get through a hard time in my life. Thank you. Or things like kind of like that.
Right.
But I really feel like besides being a vent for your frustrations or relating to just talking about the obvious fucking ills of the world, like what's the solution? Or like what is what did I really do besides just stir up people's anger?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I went to so many places, but there's beautiful temples and beautiful things that like I almost wish I would have took more stock in like going to see the holy dams instead of just fucking going everywhere and whatever shit I used to do, smoke weed and drink and fucking be a rascal and a miscreant that I used to be.
Yeah.
And so now I'm trying to bring in this positive vibration that I have, and what is the solution, and bring in some of this they call Raja Vidya.
Okay.
Raja Vidya in Sanskrit means the king of all knowledge, and it also can be translated as the knowledge of kings, because to be a rightful king in the past, before this decrepit and this age of exploitation and greed and hypocrisy and fighting, before we were in this modern age, the qualification of a king was he had to know this knowledge of self-realization,
right?
What is the aim of human life, what is the perfection of life, what to do at the time of death, what lies beyond this existence. And these are a lot of questions that maybe I've always had as a seeker, you know what I'm saying? But I've definitely found a treasure trove of transcendental literature and teachers in my life that have brought me to a spot that I think is wonderful, and I want to share that, and I want to communicate it, and I want to express it, but I want to do it in a way where all my motherfucking ghetto motherfuckers can
still connect with it.
They can relate. They can dig. It's not something where it's like unrelatable. Maybe you ain't even getting what I'm throwing down, but you can still bob your head and shake your ass, and you can feel it.
That's important.
You can still relate to some things to it, but on the deeper aspect, some people are going to be like, "Yo, what's that about? You said this and that there. Yo, what's the meaning of that?" Or, there's going to be people like that, because music is how ultimately I found the path that I'm on, and it's a great vehicle to communicate and to to share, man. And I think that the ultimate thing in music is connection, man. It ain't about how fast you play, or how fucking long you can hold a note, or how many little drum fills you can do. There's all kind of talented people that can't write a fucking song.
Right.
I think the whole thing, and I think we're losing a lot of it with this AI shit and triggering everything, and everything's got to be perfect and on the tick. And those records back in the day, fucking Led Zeppelin and Journey and the Beatles and
one take.
There ain't no fucking albums now that are perfect. They ain't even fucking coming through. They'll never outsell it. They'll never be more fucking cherished than that shit, because that shit encapsulated human expression, and that's the point. And when you over polish shit, man, you're missing the fucking point. And when we want AI to start doing everything, we so fucking lazy and whatever, bro. You're missing the whole fucking point. Your father, I'm gonna quote your fucking pops. He had some interesting thing, living in Japan, where I heard him use this term wabi-sabi.
Yeah.
And wabi-sabi in the art world means that which is perfect because it is imperfect.
Yes.
The rough edges and the sharp fucking contours
is
what actually makes the thing fucking beautiful.
Yes.
And Dimebag Darrell, you might have some fucking nerd going, oh, that little part right there's out of key where he bent. Nah, he had so much emotion, he bent and he went above it. That's what fucking makes that amazing.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And we're losing the point, man. So definitely, like I said, that one thing, about Detroit, that one thing that you just can't reduplicate, that's not for sale, is authenticity.
And now you're saying that you're writing, all or most of the lyrics. So these other guys that you brought into this project with you, are they having any input? Are they involved in the creative process at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the primary writer of the music, and I write all the lyrics and the vocals. But like I said, I'm not qualified to be like a solo artist, and I need to bounce it off with people. And if you're gonna, they say, the eagles soar eagles, they don't water with ducks. So you want to get some qualified people. So I want to be with the dopest musicians, man. And I had an original collaborator that we did some writing together initially. And what happened is he and him, both of them, they lost a parent in the process. And I love them dearly, and they're very talented, and they're going to come out the other side just fine. But they're feeling that same funk that I went through before I came out the other side. And they know I'm on the other side of it, fucking feeling beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So the only way to replace irreplaceable dudes is with two other irreplaceable dudes. So that's what I got, man. And there's definitely a shared collaboration and opinions. And when little people play on things and they might put a little spin and things will change and morph. And there's a certain amount of things that you can write out and plan, but there's a certain amount of beautiful things that can just happen, man. And if you can be aware of that and in tune with that, you got to let them things happen. And they're your universal advantage, bro. You know what I'm saying? They're the communication from what's beyond the ether. And I try to be in tune with that and let those things happen. And like in the studio, there's a couple of things that happen where it's like, oh, that's a mistake, or that's what, and then you listen to, it's bad as fuck. How did that happen? Those are some of the coolest things that have happened on the record so far. You know what I mean? So gotta go with it.
And when you say that this is, your best body of work or the work that you're most proud of, what is it about this project that is making it that? Is it that you feel like you're really dialed in and writing great lyrics? Is it the music? Is it the ideas that are being spawned from it? Is it all of it? Like because that's a very poignant statement when you say this is my finest body of work. What's the impetus for you saying that?
That's a bold statement, ain't it, bro?
It is, and I love that. I love the fact that you're saying it because of the aforementioned bands that you've been a part of. Whether you've been part of the creative process or hired gun or like whatever. I mean, irregardless, to put a statement like that on that I'm very proud of this piece of work. There's got to be something that points to that.
Well, definitely. So, your whole life experience, or going through the laundry list of bands I played in, being journeyman or whatever. Yeah. It's an accumulation of things where there's some things that have opened my mind to creative processes. There were certain bands I played in that that's not my style at all.
Right.
Like the CRO-MAGS, you know what I'm saying? That's like some Lemmy Discharge with a little touch of Sabbath, and it's cool as fuck. But, before that, my whole time I was playing Agents of the Man, where we were kind of like dudes who write a hard ass metal riff. Motherfuckers are beatboxing out a fucking beat, and we playing like an R&B bass line.
Right.
And that's kind of like how I was thinking, you know what I'm saying? And but you know, you go through all these different things and experiences in different camps, and you know, you can pick little pieces, and they all kind of amalgamate into a whole. And I think that through my life's experience of playing, through the positive vibration of just where I am mentally, spiritually, emotionally right now, the things that are going on in the world, you know what I'm saying? All of them are kind of accumulating into this sum that I think it's definitely, because, you know, like we were talking about earlier, like the scene of becoming the parody of yourself. You can do that. You can do that creatively.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, man? And there's some bands, their whole career might be 1 or 2 records. It might be a song. Yo, God bless the fucking Overkills and the Motorheads and the AC/DC. Like, how many 20 fucking record, you know? And there's got to be a point when it's hard not to become a parody of yourself. And I love bands like Queens of the Stone Age or Type 1 Negative or Fishbone, or that just like, they ain't afraid to be whatever they are.
You're on their own trip. Yeah.
I think that's amazing. That and you know, just like as an individual, you want to grow in this journey of life on this fucking big quest we are on. As an artist, as a creator, as a communicator, you know, you want to grow too, man. So I think that I've kind of grown up into my big boy pants, with my big boy stance.
Yep.
And I think this is the dopest body work that I've ever done. I can't wait to share it. It's diverse, but it's also definitely has a similar thread to it. And there's definitely elements of different bands, like you can hear them in there just in my style of writing and playing.
Is there somebody out there that you could compare it to? Like where, like if someone was saying, you know, geez, Mike, what does this sound like? What would this remind me of? You know, is it able to be put into you know how the metal fans can be sometimes. Everything's got to be in a box. It's got to be in a genre or a subgenre. You know what I mean? Like, you know, is there anything out there that this could be compared to that people, where it might resonate, where people might say, oh, okay, it sounds like them?
That's the hardest motherfucking question you ask, bro. I don't think there is. There's no one box I can say. You know, I can say like some of my influences. Like I fucking love Leeway so much, bro.
Yeah.
Agents of Man. I love that whole style of like a lot of the open chords that are in that shit.
Yeah.
So there's a part of that in my style. There's a part of my Cold as Life. There's a part of my style, my hand of like sliding into certain notes that almost seem like you're not going to get them. You slide in, and certain minor notes and minor transitions and augmented nasty chords. But there's a lot of like just completely different shit. Groove is kind of a cohesion, and like I said, I always got to feel like I'm bobbing my head and be grooving into it the way that I play to rock down and bite down with the drummer. You know what I'm saying? But man, it's fucking rad, bro. You know what I'm saying? Quicksand, I love Quicksand. But you know, these are kind of like influences. I can't say that it sounds like what it does, man. And that's really like probably the most exciting thing about the reveal. Sharing it is just watching the motherfucker's face go. God damn, you know what I mean? That's what I'm waiting for. You know what I mean?
Well, I think
anyone that's heard it too has given me a lot of like people I've heard the pre-production demos. Some people like I might know a little closer to me. I want to test out or kind of get a feel, and I've been super happy with the feedback that I've gotten, that people that have experienced it and got a little taste and kind of helped me go in the right direction. People that I trust and have been like, you know, giving me all great feedback. So.
Well, you know, I saw an interview with Lars from Metallica a couple years back. He was on the Howard Stern show, and he said something very poignant. When Howard asked him about the projects that they've done, you know, they collaborated with Lou Reed, or they did the stuff with the symphony orchestra, some stuff that maybe had their fans scratching their head a little bit, that was a little outside of their lane. But I, you know, and Howard asked him about, you know, the backlash and getting criticism about that kind of stuff. And what Lars said was so great. You know, I mean, he said, you know, sometimes it's best to challenge the fans a little bit. And, you know, I love that, to not just say, yeah, we're just going to keep giving you Master of Puppets over and over and just keep regurgitating the same music again. You know what I mean? I like the fact that even though the fans buy the albums, man, that Lars looks at it more like, hey, we're going to challenge you guys. You know, we tweak things a little bit. You're either going to like it and you're along on the ride with us, or you're not, you know, but this is what we're doing, you know?
That's growth, man. You know, sometimes you might make a mistake, but it's worth making it if you come to a better outcome. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like, you know, all right, look at Metallica. All right, obviously, some people trip when the Black record came out, which I think is a great record. You know what I'm saying? But like, Load and Reload for me, man. You know what I mean? Some young motherfuckers might be, I first heard of them. You know, fuck that. To me, I just be real. I thought that shit sucked. You know what I'm saying? And then, what was it? Fucking saying anger, that fucking snare. Like, motherfucker, you got so much money in your snare, something like that.
I know.
I can fucking put some tin can and a fucking,
I know.
goddamn whatever to make it sound better than that. But I like they kind of refound themselves around Death Magnetic. I thought that Hardwire was like, wow, they kind of got put back touch. But like this record now, you kind of hear some of the growth of them being a rock band and being like, okay, we in our 50s or maybe 60s, and we ain't fucking, we ain't sitting here trying to, whatever. But you see some of them harnessing and embracing the roots and the shit that we all love, us old school motherfuckers love about thrash shit. And you see them kind of in also embracing that whole rock shit. And there's a couple tunes, to be real, there's a couple fillers, but there's a couple tunes that I really think are really good. I think it's a cool thing. They've kind of like found themselves and their age and their status, and I dig it. God bless them. You know what I mean?
Now the big question is I'm sure in all these hardcore bands, that you played in, a lot of hardcore music is very anthemic, a lot of choruses, a lot of singing along. I'm sure you provided your fair share of background vocals, but now sliding into that role of being the vocalist. How have you adjusted to that? And how did you find out that, did you experiment? How did you find out that you had the voice to be like the front man?
I don't know if I got the voice as much as I got the looks.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I can relate to that.
Listen, it's about connection. Because I'll tell you what inspired me. Because the whole singing thing, you want me to be real with you, it's the most exciting and terrifying thing ever.
At the same time,
like baseball. I played bass in front of 100,000. It's all good, bro. Strap me up, plug me in. We're gonna do it. I'm so at home. Right. But to sing is definitely pushing me out of my square, bro. Do vocals all day yesterday. I'm surprised I can talk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And but I think about what's kind of inspired me is I can think about a lot of dudes that my favorite singers, bro, aren't good singers.
Right.
Look, Lemmy. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Yeah.
He didn't know fucking opera, but Lemmy's one of the baddest fucking. I fucking love Lemmy, bro. Or, I don't know, like the Kurt Cobain from Nirvana. He didn't have the best voice, but he wrote some great fucking songs. Bob Dylan wrote some great songs. That motherfucker, he didn't really have.
There are singers. I think there are singers.
There
are singers, and there are singers, and there are frontmen. I think even Diamond Dave would tell you he's more of a frontman and more of a showman rather than he's certainly not going to be ever hailed as the guy with the greatest voice. I mean,
that was Michael Anthony. But yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
David Lee Roth, he was like the most amazing frontman.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or I mean, look at Dave Mustaine. I mean, a hell of a guitar player, writes some songs, kind of a dick. He can replace some people with fucking great people. That motherfucker can't sing, bro.
No.
You know what I'm saying, bro? But he's in like the second or third biggest metal band out there. You know what I mean? So I think the thing is in connecting with people, which I really enjoy writing, man, and I really enjoy connecting with people. So I'm trying to use that as my strength and the looks.
Yeah. For sure. Accentuate the looks. That's important as a front man, I mean,
absolutely. So, that's the main thing. So I'm kind of overcome some of them trepidations and shit. I remember my whole life playing. What the best shows were? The ones where you were just a little fucking nervous going. That doesn't happen a lot. After you do it every day, that's all you do. And you don't really get fucking nervous to go up with. I mean, I'll tell you a couple. I remember one time it was an Ozfest off day, and the package was Cradle of Filth, Kill Switch, and Shadows Fall would flip flop, and Sworn Enemy would open. Mm-hmm. And Lorenzo was always brazen and bold, man. I fucking love the guy. And I remember he would always, tell the Cradle of Filth's tour manager, Martin, he's a big Viking motherfucker, bro. Red hair motherfucker could be like Eric the Red and one of the fucking Braveheart or Ragnar Lothbrok or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? And he'd like, oh, come on, man, because like if you play like a half hour at the Doors, sometimes it'd be people that came just to see us. They didn't even get through the Doors by the time our last song or two, or they missed us, or
missed it all.
Generally, the best was if you played an hour after Doors. Everyone's fucking in. And it's fucking showtime. Is cool, right?
Yeah.
So I remember one time we was in Montreal. I can't remember the club. I played there a couple times at theater. So maybe like a 3,000, 3,500 cap, and it was a big one. And we played there a couple times. And I remember he would always bother Martin every day. And I remember Martin was writing the list, and Danny had something to do or whatever. He was writing out the day sheet and kind of like looked over at us and smirked, and then like posted the day sheet and goes, "You guys are gonna like this one." And we came up to the day shoot. We weren't playing until an hour and a half after doors.
Oh, that's
so we were
nice.
like, oh,
Yeah.
hell yeah. You know, so
Yeah.
there's all kind of, I know my little routes in all the cities. I know where I'm getting in trouble and fucking how to get back in time. You know what I mean? So we do our thing or whatever. And when we came back, okay, that place, I mean, you know, opening up for Slayer or something, because, you know, everyone's Slayer. They don't want to hear fucking Slayer. You know what I mean? Yeah. Opening up for Cradle of Filth on that show, bro, that place was packed. And they were in there for about a half hour to 45 minutes too long. And the whole place was Cradle of Filth. Yeah. Cradle of They want what they want. Yeah. But the whole place was fucking roaring. And I remember, like, I didn't want to turn my amp on. I sent fucking Maverick. I was like, yo, Maverick, go turn my amp and bring my fucking cable. I'm plugging over here. You know what I mean? And I knew either, like, you know, sometimes you got to win a crowd over as an opener. There's a dynamic in the middle. They start to catch it, and in the end, you got them. There's ones where you fucking eat shit, and you're putting everything out. You just, you know, they're not going to love you. They might like you. Right. They might not love you. You know what I'm saying? Or they're going to go insane the second you hit the first fucking note. So there's going to be one of them. We didn't know what it was. Right. And we came out, hit the first, bing, motherfuckers went crazy. You know what I'm saying? But that was one that definitely had the fucking nerves rattled. And that was one of the funnest shows. I remember out of however many fucking shows I played. I remember that one because that was fun like that. Or I'll tell you, this is a great story. I filled in for Madball in South America. And, you know, it was Madball and Agnostic Front touring together, which was fucking great.
What a package.
What a package is right. You know what I mean? And because, you know, Freddie and Roger can speak Spanish to everyone, that's even more of a fuck. You know, they you know, I just know what song they're playing next. I know they talk Spanish, and then we're gonna start whatever, you know. But I remember everyone telling me before we left, yo, Chili Kid is wild, yo. There's gonna be. I remember Terrence was like, yo, you're gonna get locked in that club for 2 hours after the show. I'm like, what the fuck you mean? Like, yo, they have a fucking war with the police or the riot. They lock you inside the club. It's wild, kid. I remember even Hoya saying, yo, now I know what Slayer feels like, blah, blah, blah. So I was really like, oh, shit, what's this going to be like? You know, South America was great and everything. We flew into Santiago, man, and it's a nice restaurant, you know, real nice atmosphere, real artsy. When the hotel was nice, I took a fucking nap, you know. Yeah, and come down to the shuttle bus, taking both bands at the beginning. We're rapping and, you know, being characters and talking or whatever. And I remember we get to a spot where we pull and we park somewhere. And there's like this a park across the street, and once in a while I see kids walking through it like Misfit shirts or Discharge, you know, like why are they at the show? You know what I mean? And we're kind of like, what the fuck hell? Why are we sitting here? And all of a sudden the woman got the call on the walkie-talkie, whatever, and she's like, Rapido, vámonos, you know. And it's like a big, like, oh shit, you know, what's going on, man? And we pull up, we just go around a couple blocks, and we turn onto the block of the street. There's a motherfucking tank in the middle of the street. Now, it didn't have a gun on it. It had like a battering ram, and a fucking hose. The whole street's wet. Like they're ready for a riot. Yeah. Listen, they fire hose motherfuckers. So the whole club. They call them police, but these motherfuckers are like, they're clearly the military or whatever, right? Yeah. They're lined up all the way in front of the club. There's fucking, they got them barricaded inside. So that the club's sold out. It's like a mini theater. It's sold out. A barricade in front, the doors are locked, and there's all fucking dudes standing in front with their fucking batons like this. And there's another door right next to, which is the access to the dressing room. And they see us coming. They break formation. They reset up the barricades around. We back in. They surround us with the barricades. They all surround. And they open the door, and they're like, run, for real. No, we start running this fucking door, and then some kids come out of nowhere and try to fucking come in there, and they're grabbing some motherfuckers up, bang, 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 the baton, like, oh my God. You know, we get into the club, and a lot of these clubs, it took you right in the dressing room, which is under the stage. Right. And there was no way to get in the general population. Like, you can either go to the stage or you can go out the fucking exit. Right. And everywhere out there, there was things like that, but it would say, you know, a sign would be like an arrow, would be like salida, you know, exit, you know. Yeah. This motherfucker put in English is to escape. You know what I mean? Fucking, as soon as we got in that motherfucker, that place was roaring. It was like you were in the fucking stomach of an empty fucking dinosaur, bro. Yeah. They were roaring, bro. And yeah, when by the time we got up to fucking play the first note, them motherfuckers go crazy. And them motherfuckers in between every song, they ole, 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 ole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bad ball,
they know how to show out for shows.
Ball. Oh, they show up. They threw up like a jersey. I think Freddie put out like whatever their home team soccer, whatever motherfuckers they went crazy. When the whole show was over, the promoter of the whole run or whatever, he's like, give me your bass, give me your bass, give me your bass. And then he goes, run. It was like that. Yo, I ran. I got my backpack. I think I left the shirt. I never lose nothing. I think I lost a shirt, maybe something.
They take their shit serious over there. Yeah,
motherfucker. We ran out. What they did that night is we all ran out and got the thing, and it took off. And they kept the kids locked in the club. And then when we took off, then they let them out. Like, fuck you.
That's smart. That's probably
yeah. Because what they do, I guess, normally is they want to see the band so much, and they're trying to disperse them, and they literally have a fucking brawl with the cops every fucking show. You know what I'm saying? So like,
so they're letting you guys get a head start out of there then.
No, we just got the fuck out. And then once we was out, they're like, haha, fuck you guys. They're gone. You know what I mean? But that was wild. But my whole point to my fucking diversing is sometimes them shows where you the fucking most nervous and there's something that gets you going like that. That's the funnest ones, bro.
Sure.
You know, so I think actually that feeling the first time I ever played a show, that was the feeling. And it was a big fight. But you know what I mean? First show ever, I'm 13, a big fucking, it was chaos. You know what I'm saying? And I've been addicted to that feeling my whole life.
I've talked to a couple guys on here who have touched on that same apprehension. I've talked to Craig Silverman from Agnostic Front, who said he had that same feeling. You know, that first hardcore show, you're going and there's that little bit of uneasiness. I don't know what to expect. What's going to jump off here? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how this whole night's going to play out or whatever, but here we go. Let's see. You know, I mean, but there is a fun to that, though. And I'm glad you told me that story because I'm actually going to see Madball for the first time next month here in Syracuse. And I don't think I'll have to run for my life, but I am very excited, though, because I've never seen Madball and I've always heard how great they are live. Great live bands. Yeah. And Freddie's another one of those guys, a lot like Mike Muir, who I mentioned before, who I'm hoping that I can get an introduction to, and because I know he's not big on the social media stuff, but definitely a guy whose brain I'd love to pick and would love to have on here, though, because he just seems like a really interesting guy.
I'm sure he'd be a great interview.
Yeah, I'm actually going because I've had Brendan on here. I don't know if you know, he plays with Sheer Terror. He also fills in for them a lot.
What, he plays bass?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and so he's putting me on the list for that show. I've had him on here, and that was the one thing that I asked. I'm just like, I can't find much about Freddie online, and I get it. He keeps a low profile. Everybody's not into the whole social media and elevating their platform or their profile or whatever. But I'm just like, man, if I could just get just an introduction to him, I'll do the rest. I'll give him my contact information, whatever it takes to get him on here. But
well, I wish you luck in that.
Yeah,
I can relate that. I've never wanted to be on social media. I fucking my whole life is whack. I ain't sure where I'm eating lunch or dinner or what I'm doing or you know what I'm saying?
I mean, people do take it kind of far. I wouldn't even have another Facebook if it wasn't for the for the podcast. But people have said, why don't you promote it more? Why doesn't PodScum have a Twitter? Why not an Instagram? It's just like, you know what? People will fucking find it or they fucking won't. I'm under no grand illusion that I'm going to be Joe Rogan tomorrow. You know what I mean? People who dig it, they dig it and they'll find it. You know what I mean? But I can't keep up with all of it, though. They want you to be everywhere now. And I've talked to a lot of artists on here who've said, used to be there was a time when you would just be on a label and you'd have a lot of satellites and people doing that shit for you. But now sometimes, you got to be your own fucking PR firm, too.
Well, I think we've definitely lost a lot of the mystique. Back in the day, bands had an aura, mystery. You didn't know every fucking thing about them,
right?
And fucking whatever, and that made it a lot cooler. But at the same time, I mean, it's a valuable tool. Look, a tool is how you utilize it. A knife can used properly can feed a village and make food. Or a knife, a mass murderer can kill your motherfucking family. It's the same fucking thing. It's how you use it. And I've never had an interest in it. And I caved because I knew I was going to promote my record and my band. I knew there's no other way to fucking do it.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I've been on for less than a year. I've been on for a couple of months now, but reconnecting with people, finding you to do this.
Sure.
Just all talking to old friends and a lot of things. It's been good, and I don't get caught up in all that nonsense and all that fucking fantasy shit. I ain't got no time for none of that shit. And as long as, like I said, you utilize things in the right way, try to communicate, try to network and everything like that, it can be a great thing,
And so when can people expect to hear anything. I'm very much looking forward to it too. Supreme Mystic, the people can hear it for the first time when? Do you have a timetable on like when anything will be dropping?
Things always take longer than you expect.
Yeah.
And good things take longer than that.
Yep.
I'm hoping sometime around the end of the year. I'm hoping around December we can start sharing stuff and building into that first EP.
Yeah.
And I'll probably start playing around that same time, and then we'll be on the campaign from there on out. So
yeah. And in closing here, I would like to know if you're putting together the baddest motherfuckers on this album, why I was not notified.
Well, because I was going to be the vocalist. It was a hard decision. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I was thinking about that when on my list of who's the baddest vocalist. You know, obviously I was like, well, fucking motherfucker's got it in his DNA. You know what I'm saying? He can do a jump kick up to fucking here. You know what I'm saying? But I ended up, my ego pervaded, and I said, well, motherfucker, I'm pretty as fuck. I think I'm going to be the singer. You know what I'm saying, bro?
I can't take that away from you. I'd be fronting if I was saying, man, that you're not the guy for the job. You are. And plus, man, if I do any of those high kicks, man, I got to call into work for a couple days. I can't do those anymore. Those days are over, man.
Yeah.
Those days are over.
I'm Asian. They make us stretch since we were little kids, bro. You know what I mean? You ever seen that kung fu opera shit? They pressing the kid, they're like, ow, ow, pressing down, talk more. Or
makes me think when Van Damme was in that movie Kickboxer, and that guy had him tied to the tree and just kept pulling his legs and fucking split more and more and more.
That's what they do to us when we're little kids, bro.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Hey, man, you're probably better off fucking for it, though. You're probably still in good shape, right? I mean, you look like you're in good shape.
Beige don't age, bro.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Would you say beige don't age? I like that one because we've already heard the black don't crack, man, but I've never heard the beige don't age. I like that.
Beige don't age, bro. It's
God
true.
Damn it. You know what? You got all the good, you got all the good little slick little lines that are going to work for a front man. You got all the zingers. They call them in show business, right?
Yeah.
A lot of zingers to throw out there. Well, listen, man, I'm glad we got a chance to do this, man. I know you got a show to go to tonight. Have a ball at that. You're going to see Sick of It All tonight, right?
Yeah, Sick of It All in Life of Agony, man. So I can't wait to see Joey Z. I can't wait to see Craig and Armand. I can't wait to see everybody. You know what I'm saying?
And when Mike COULS goes to a show, are you still a guy that'll jump in the pit, or are those days gone?
Yeah, that shit was going out. I think I was a kid and I fucking hurt my elbow or my hand or my wrist or something and my knees, and then I had to come to the conclusion. Well, am I gonna be in the middle of a pit at a show, or am I gonna be on stage and cause a pit at the show?
Yeah.
And I chose the latter. You know what I'm saying? It's a long time ago. You know what I mean? I don't want to be bumped in by a little fucking kid and shit. I'm gonna stand where I can see everything perfect.
Yeah.
Fucking have a good time, catch the fucking shit, hear it fucking great, and I ain't trying to get no mix in no fucking pit.
Me neither. I've had a couple of back surgeries. I'm 50 years old. And these kids nowadays are really, I mean, I'm not saying the pits weren't rough back in my day, but now it seems like the aesthetic beauty of the art of the dancing part of it seems to be gone. And I just see a lot of these kids just look like they're just looking to back fist somebody in the fucking face. I mean, I don't know what these kids are doing. It seems like it's more predicated on violence. I know it's a violent form of dancing, but at least me, I never went into a pit really to intentionally hurt anybody, you know?
Well, then I think you said it all right there, too. Well, I don't get in the pit. The fucking face. The face, bro. You know what I'm saying? I haven't done that in my face, bro.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. And plus, I got to keep this pretty anyway. You know?
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it. Exactly.
This is my bread and butter right here.
You know what? I'm fucking mad. I know. But it was funny. I'm blow up the spot. But my brother ended up marrying this girl. But one time I was playing the show and I was singing the mic or whatever, bro. And she came flying like Sonic the Hedgehog, bro, because she had fucking dreads and shit at the time.
Yeah.
You know, she hit the mic and fucking hit my tooth. It just chipped my fucking tooth. I'm like, oh, chip my motherfucking tooth, man.
Yeah.
I didn't affect my smile. It's so small that you ain't gonna notice. But I fucking noticed. I remember looking over. I'm looking over the mouth. Chip my fucking tooth.
Yeah. You know but then unbeknownst to you, years later, though, man, who knew you're going to be a glamorous front man? You know what I mean? You need those teeth. You know what I mean? You need those teeth.
You need them teeth, baby. You gotta smile,
I can't wait. Hey, listen, man, I can't wait for Supreme Mystic. I'm jazzed up about this, man. I really am excited, man. I really am. And I'm glad that it was a fulfilling process for you, because it sounds like you're really, it sounds like it's been a project that's really helped you in your involvement, as you said, as a person too.
You know, it's like boxing or like anything else. You know, when it gets into your blood, it gets into your DNA, man. It's you know, and for creative people, it's like there's things that finally, when I heard them layered or heard them recorded, I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm fucking not insane. Because I feel like I'm insane carrying around these thoughts or how this is going to be and that's going to be. And like, when you finally fucking put them down, it's like, God damn, what a relief. But the ultimate thing is when you let your baby go into the world and it's fucking done. There's no more fucking tweaking and finger banging and shuffling and doing whatever.
Yep.
You let it fucking go and you let it fly and be what it is. And that's the beautiful part. You know what I mean? Then you let it go. Then you get behind it and just start writing the next shit. You know what I mean?
And do you ever feel like when you put this project out, because the music business has changed so much and you know, we talked about it before, people's attention span has dwindled so much. People aren't listening to hour-long albums or 6 or 7 minute songs like Metallica gave us back in the day. You know, people are putting out singles, and it seems like they're so obsessed with keeping their name relevant and keeping their name out there. You know, is that something at this stage of your career that you're thinking about? Like, do you think about, like, fuck, when I put this project out, I've got to, if I want it to do well, I got to get something else out in X amount of time? You know, are you putting that kind of pressure on yourself, or are you not at that point in your career?
You don't want to put pressure on yourself. That pressure is in complete juxtaposed opposition to creativity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you create, you want to be free of the result. You want to be free of everything. But then obviously, yeah, there's a business, there's a campaign,
right?
There's a sequence, and there's definitely been some adjusting and adapting to, you know, how things are absorbed now. You know, definitely when I was doing shit, there was records and distribution and you know, fucking physical. I'll laugh. I remember 10 years ago or something, I was still promoting shows. You know what I mean? And I remember I went to the show and I was handing out little fucking handbills. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I remember I gave a little girl this handbill or whatever, and there's a show she totally gonna want to go to, and she was like, no, I want to go to the show. I can find it on Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that was one metric. But then the funniest one, this goofiest motherfucker, bro. I've seen this kid wearing the shirt of the band I'm bringing to town. He's rocking the shit. His favorite band. I'm bringing them. I go over and just get, yo, nigga, here. You know what I mean? Hand him the fucking thing. Motherfucker, like, he didn't even fucking look at it. Like, he was too cool. He was too cool to get a handbill.
Yeah.
And like right then, that's when I just knew, like, things shifted so much.
Sign of the times. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just different. I wasn't on social media at all. Like now you just make an event page or you do whatever, you know what I mean? And so things change. You just got to adjust with how it is. But I mean, there's a lot of value to how things are, man. So take advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? And make the best use of a bad bargain. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wise words, my friend. Wise words. I'm glad we got the chance to do this, brother. It's been a blast as usual, man. And hopefully, you know, as these songs come out and you know, you're still continuing to work on stuff or whatever and put stuff out, we'll keep in touch and hopefully we can do this again soon.
Absolutely, my guy. Yeah, I'd love to do it again, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I know we've been playing tag going back and forth after this is the redo. I think I probably more rambunctious the last time around. I'm cooling the cut today, you know what I'm saying?
You are.
I'm cooling the gang today. So
you know, and completely flawless with the internet connection too. Perfect.
Yeah. That too. Yeah, I'm not having so much interference, and it must be in the equinox and the lunar metamorphosis fucking aligned with the celestial bodies, and
or maybe it's just
a favor.
Or maybe the gods just want the word about Supreme Mystic to get out there.
Oh, you're going.
Stars are
deeper.
aligning, my friend.
You're going deeper, my friend.
I'm getting deep. I'm getting deep. I imagine once I hear this album, how deep I'm going to get. You know,
shit.
I'm going to go to a whole nother level.
I see how much you be smoking, bro. You be lifting up your jar, so yeah, you might go all the way. You might get all the way in it, bro.
I might get all the way there. Yeah,
you might get stuck. Yeah,
I might be the first. I might be the first of the Roth family to truly become evolved. You know?
Oh shit.
Yeah, watch out for me. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you doing this, brother. It's always a pleasure talking to you, man. And of course, when I put your episode up here soon, I'll send you the link. Share it around wherever you want, man. And anywhere you're gonna put it, whatever. And,
right on, my guy.
Yeah, and I can't wait to talk to you again. I can't wait for the music, brother. And enjoy yourself at the show tonight.
Absolutely. All my love and well wishes, bro.
Yeah.
And, we'll be in touch and we'll talk soon, my friend.
Later, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Be good, my dude.
All right. Later, brother.
See you later.
Later. And there he goes, folks. Or maybe he doesn't go. Let's see. Has Mike left the building? Yes, he has. That is Mike COULS. and he is fucking cool, man. And his resume is extremely cool. The guy has just been a stalwart, a staple, a mainstay, a fixture in the punk hardcore world for the longest time. Cold as Life, Detroit Legends. You heard him expound on his time in that band. Been in Sworn Enemy, another hardcore juggernaut of a fucking band. Agents of Man, Vehement, Sererade, Marauder. He's worked with Danny Diablo, Scarhead. He's been a pinch hitter or a ringer, as he put it, for Terror, Agnostic Front, CRO-MAGS, Murphy's Law, Madball, you name it. The who's who, the litany of bands that this guy has been in, whether a full-fledged member or helping out, man. This is the guy. Have Bass will fucking travel and will come into your band and fucking throw down for you if you need him. And now he's on his own trip, man. Supreme Mystic. And this sounds like it's a departure from what we usually expect from Mike COULS and the bands that he's been in. But it sounds like it's really going to be something fucking special. I'm glad for him, man. And as I also said earlier, he is one of my redo episodes. The terrible PodScum tragedy of lost episodes that happened a couple months back, where I lost 6 or 7 good episodes. And Mike was right on board immediately when I told him of the issue. One of the first guys to commit, yes, I'll do it. Sucks that fucking happened, but of course I'll fucking do it. Took us a little while to get linked up or whatever, but you know, such is life. You know, we all have lives. We're all up to our eyeballs and shit that we got to do. But I always knew that he would make it happen, dude. Great fucking dude, man. Such an introspective guy with so much interesting shit to say, man. I could sit there and talk to him for fucking hours. We damn near did almost fucking 2 hours. So, I mean, it is what it is. The guy's an easy guy to converse with, man. And, you know, as I said, you can go find him, his thumbprint on a lot of the greatest punk and hardcore music that's been made. You know, going back to the OGs, Cold as Life, one of the fucking nastiest of the fucking hardcore bands, Detroit's own, that threw down like nobody else. A band marred, unfortunately, by a lot of tragedy, but nobody brought it fucking harder than Cold as Life, Sworn Enemy, and of course all the other bands that I mentioned, and plus pinch hitting for all the biggies: Agnostic, CRO-MAGS, Murphy's Law, Terror. I mean, come on, the list goes on and on. This guy's been there, seen it, done it all. Got the fucking t-shirt, and he's one of my first guests to acknowledge that he needs no DNA proof. He knows that he's looking at Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. So big salute to Mike for that, man, for coming out and having the chutzpah to actually fucking say it, man. I love that, man. And I can't wait for Supreme Mystic to drop and to hear some shit from it, because it sounds like it's going to be a real special project. So I hope you guys enjoyed that episode as much as I enjoyed chopping it up with Mike. And until we get together and we do this thing again, and we will do it again soon, please remember to take it easy and keep it sleazy.